powerlifter, strongman. I deadlifted 1,000 pounds, yoke squatted at 1,015 in competition. That's all awesome and everything. But what I really want to, the more important thing I want to talk about though, when it comes, but I think what would be more important to talk about with that experience is how it relates to jiu-jitsu and what you can actually do that actually does help you in jiu-jitsu when it comes to some kind of strength training. Because the stuff that I was doing is way, like there's a point of diminishing returns and it's way beyond that. But I am a firm believer that if you're doing some kind of strength training, it doesn't have to be crazy. You don't have to be trying to do some of the weird stuff I did. But if you make yourself 5% stronger, like you are a better athlete, you're gonna move better, you're gonna be faster automatically, your faster drivers are gonna be faster, you're gonna be a little bit stronger, which helps for that little bit of extra pull or whatever. But the big thing is recovery. I have people that I've worked with in jiu-jitsu that I've coached and stuff with like lifting and nutrition that we'll work together in the 6 weeks. He's like, is it normal for my knee not to hurt anymore? Yeah, because you were doing nothing. And then like the small, people think about the big stuff like, oh, I got big legs or big arms or whatever, he's strong. They don't think about like, you are also strengthening all the small fibers around your joints, which make you a lot more resistant to injury. And jiu-jitsu is chaotic. And unless you're young and made out of rubber, like some of these kids, like you have to fight off the reality that like you're going to get injured eventually. How bad it is going to be dependent on a lot of factors, but one of them, and I can safely say for myself, is because I strength train. And every injury I've had, it was always way less than it should have been. It was way faster recovery. I tore my hamstring off of my leg in a jiu-jitsu match just sitting down to the mat. Freak accident. But I recovered half the time that they thought I would and got back to being crazy strong when they didn't think I'd be able to even do jiu-jitsu again. And it's all attributed, in my opinion, to the fact that I lift weights. You know, if you don't want to lift weights, you can do some other stuff. It's not as good. But so
for people that are dumb in the weight room, that's an athlete, and programming in general for someone who's just trying to do this because it's fun.
Absolutely,
so
absolutely.
I think those are two.
Sure, and this is common thing that I get approached with. If you are brand new to lifting, there's a lot of good free information out there. I highly suggest looking into Renaissance periodization. A guy named Dr. Mike Israetel, super intelligent. He's a professor at a college in the Bronx. He's a pro bodybuilder and a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He runs a company, Renaissance Periodization, and tons of articles, YouTube videos on how to do technique correctly. So if you don't have somebody in person that can show you, lots of free info. My basic suggestions for people are like, when I have a jiu-jitsu person, I'm gonna be like, I wanna get a little bit stronger. I know it'll be good for my body and it'll make me better at jiu-jitsu and my recovery and stuff, is start small and then you titrate from there. So, you're not gonna be able to do jiu-jitsu 5 days a week and lift weights 5 days a week unless you're on a bunch of drugs, which most of us are not gonna be. So like, if you're lifting because you want a little bit stronger for jiu-jitsu, feel a little better, start small. Do 2 days. Do a couple of compound movements. So things like, in full range of motion. I don't want, squatting this much does nothing for you. I'd rather you have nothing on the bar and get a full squat. So compound movements are things that use more of the body. So squat, deadlift. For pressing stuff, for jiu-jitsu, I'm more of a fan of closer grip work on the bar, because like if I'm in side control or something, and if I am gonna use some kind of pressing, I'm not out here, right? So like you're usually in more of a tighter, like closer grip position. So for pressing stuff, if you're gonna bench, closer grip. But compound stuff, so squats, deadlifts, closer grip bench, pauses. I do a lot of I do a lot of pause work. That's really good for jiu-jitsu because like we can train the full range of motion under control. We're pausing in the hole, which then in jiu-jitsu, a lot of times if I'm gonna use my strength, it's to like explode out of somewhere. So like you're from a stagnant position and exploding. When you use some kind of pause work, like a pause squat, where I'm squatting and I'm pausing here for a second and then exploding up. When we pause here, not only are we working like our diaphragm, our core and everything, but now it's all quads from a static position. The other good thing about that for jiu-jitsu is it's such a controlled descent and you have to control into the hole. You're less likely to get injured than guys just throwing a weight and just boom, boom, boom real fast. So full range of motion, pauses, compound stuff, start small, 2 days a week. Do 1 day where you're doing pause squats, a deadlift. It doesn't have to be with a straight bar. You can use a trap bar if you want, like the hex bars, and some kind of pressing movement. You do like a close grip bench. You can throw a pause in if you want, but I wouldn't go real far out. It doesn't really help you for jiu-jitsu, and you're less likely to get hurt. Your shoulders are less vulnerable. The second day, do 3 compound movements, but do slight variation. So maybe you did pause squats on that first day. Maybe that other day you're doing you're probably not gonna have some of this stuff unless you lift here. If you lift here, they got all the toys and there's stuff here that's awesome. But like that other day, maybe it's doing the pendulum squat, or you're doing a belt squat, which is great for jiu-jitsu. You're not loading your spine, but you can get a lot of work. On your deadlift, maybe you did a trap bar, then maybe you do a Romanian deadlift, which if you don't lift at all is just like barbell and very controlled here, and you're loading your posterior. And then for your press, do something overhead press, some kind of, it can be a literal overhead press. You can do it with a machine, you can do it with dumbbells, but just do something that's in the same vein, compound movement, but different from what you did that first day. Split it up. You're doing jiu-jitsu 4 days a week, however many. Start with 3 exercises, and then you see how you recover at the end of the week. Okay, do I feel like, you're gonna be sore, but do I feel like I can do this again next week with the amount of jiu-jitsu I'm doing? And you can just kind of mess with it from there. If you do that for like 3 weeks in a row, 4 weeks in a row, and you're like, no, I feel good, I feel like I could do more, you can add some accessory exercises on those days, or add a third day and just break it up more. And just like the biggest thing with like trying to balance that kind of stuff is it's a little bit of feel until you're really experienced. Like when I would be competing in powerlifting, I would drop down like how much hard rolling I'm doing, because I'm 6 weeks out for a powerlifting meet, and there's no way I can like go and recover from the heavy stuff I'm doing. So then you titrate the other way. And it's like, because that was my goal at the time. I had a meet coming up. So it's like I would just do more positional rolling and drilling and technique work and do more of the lifting. And then when I'm in off season and I'm not, it goes the other way. And it's like a lot more jiu-jitsu. And then I'm doing 3 days, maybe 4 days of lifting, and doing literally like compound movements and maybe 1 or 2 accessories. You do not have to go crazy. You really don't. I am crazy strong, and at my strongest, like I was lifting 3 or 4 days a week tops. I would do like squat, and I would do squat, bench, and like maybe 1 or 2 accessories. On the other day, it'd be deadlift and some kind of accessories. I was doing nothing crazy. And like you can get very strong for your size. You don't have to get really big or anything, because it's really the small muscle fibers that are getting stronger. So I got long-winded, but in short, start small, do 2 days, feel it out for a couple weeks, do compound movements, and then you can always add more or take away if you're not recovering.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, so not only am I training my jids 4 days a week here or whatever, I'm also picking up 2 days of sparring on my weekends. And I train my Muay Thai in the morning.
Sure.
Would it be better for me to add weight training into that regimen so I can try to, I guess, be stronger overall?
Sure.
Or would I be better off just focusing on just the combat in itself and building?
I think it would still be beneficial for you to get a little bit stronger because it's going to make you a better overall athlete anyways, and you're going to recover better. And it's just finding where to place that in, you know? So like on days that if I'm doing lifting and jiu-jitsu the same day, I will do like my lifting in the morning before work or something, and then I train in the evening. By that time, I've recovered plenty, and I can go and have a good jiu-jitsu couple sessions. You know, I would never go do a hard jiu-jitsu session and I'm like, all right, now I got to go lift. It's not a smart idea. If that's absolutely what we have to do because you're scheduled, then do it and just bring the intensity down on the lifting. But I still think doing like 2 days and doing a couple exercises, compound exercises, and you don't have to get bananas, will benefit you. I would just find where you can fit it in your existing schedule to where like it's done out of the way with a gap of time of when you're going to do that other thing. Or so do you train every day?
Yeah. So,
okay.
So my schedule now is I wake up, go train my Muay, go to work, then come here.
Okay. And that's every day how you do it?
For Monday through Thursday, and then my Saturdays and Sundays are just like, all right, well, we got an open mat.
Sure.
You got time to show up? Yeah, I'll go to my open mat for striking.
Yeah.
Turn around, go straight.
Lift a little bit on Saturday and Sunday before you do that.
Okay.
You know, or if you don't have a fight coming up or whatever, you could always like maybe there's one day during the week that I don't do the one thing, but I do the other in the evening or whatever. I think it would be beneficial if you could. If nothing else, you're going to recover better. You'll be surprised.
Can you touch on that?
Sure.
Because I think that's something a lot of people miss.
With recovery?
About why we lift.
Yes.
Athletes,
Yes.
and how can that benefit?
Absolutely. So the biggest benefit that I get from lifting for jiu-jitsu is like, honestly, I was kind of talking to Kenny about this, like being a strong guy in jiu-jitsu, there's only so many spots that really actually helps you. People like, well, they'll see my deadlift or something video and they're like, oh man, you must be a real problem. And honestly, like there's not a lot of spots in jiu-jitsu where that crazy strength really helps that much. Like explosive moments, it helps a little bit, but like overall, like it helps, but it's not as important as when you're lifting regularly, even if it's 2 days a week and a couple exercises of compound stuff. You are strengthening all the small muscle fibers in your body around your joints. Our joints are constantly being manipulated in jiu-jitsu. And the stronger the small, like all the small stuff around your joints can be, you will recover better. You are more resistant to injury out the gate. And then because your body is already used to being broken down and like it's obviously like a very like cellular small level, but it's already used to breaking down, and then like you're flooding it with protein and stuff, you know, and you're eating well to recover that. Like my recovery, if I'm not lifting and doing something, like it doesn't matter how much I sleep or anything like that, I'm sore. And I'm in my mid-30s, so like, and I'm only moving up, and it's only gonna get worse. But like, I roll with young, hungry, 23, 24-year-olds that are like, how are you keeping up? And it's like, well, because I lift weights and I take care of my body. So like, you will recover better. I guarantee you. You could literally do 3 exercises 2 days a week, and I guarantee you will recover better. And you'll be a little bit stronger, a little bit faster. So it's a win-win, like, and you'll look a little better too, which is cool. Like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, sure.
Do you separate conditioning? What do you think about like doing cardio separately?
Sure.
Things like that. Like,
Sure. I will always personally favor skill, like for a sport. I personally think that doing more of the sport in some capacity is better, but if you have the time and you want to supplement, doing for jiu-jitsu specifically, I don't think that like long distance running, stuff like that, like that, because there's a difference between like aerobic capacity and anaerobic. For jiu-jitsu, if you're gonna throw in some extra cardio, I would do like sprints, Tabata kind of stuff. If you've got a bike, you know, like an Aerodyne or something, or like a rower, or like you guys have, right? You know, if you're gonna do some cardio for jiu-jitsu specifically, I would do one of those things. And you can look up Tabata. There's different Tabata protocols, and it'll be, if you're not familiar, it'll be like really hard work for X amount of seconds. and then your timer goes off, and then you'll kind of like mid-range cardio for, you know, a minute or whatever, so that you can recover enough to, oh, time to do another 30 seconds or whatever. And it's that like steady sprint, because that's what jiu-jitsu's like a lot of the times, right? Like, even if you're going with somebody like real athletic and fast, like, it's not the entire time. There's going to be spots where you're like, you know, I'm in half guard, or I've got a knee shield or something, and then it's boom, I got to go. You know, so the difference between aerobic, anaerobic. If you want to run, you can, and it's not going to be bad for you. But if we're talking about, we're splitting hairs about like what is like the most optimal thing for what is going to help you. If you want to do extra cardio, do something like Tabata work, sprints, or a bike, or a rower or something.
Go ahead, Jeff.
How many calories are you eating a day?
Me right now, right now I'm averaging like 3,300.
Are you training like once a day? It's something like lifting or jiu-jitsu or?
I take Sundays off, but I will still do like a hike.
Yeah.
Or something like active recovery, because that's something I'll throw in, is something that I'm big on, is the more you move, the better you recover. So like, get your step count out, or step count up, move more, just walk more. Like if I am playing video games all the time, not like winter time, I have to force myself like to take time to like, I gotta walk on a treadmill or something, because like I'm just so stiff, and your muscles are just like not recovering the same. The more you move, you'd be surprised. Like the more you do, the more your body can handle. So, but yeah, I will do, I'll either lift or do jiu-jitsu or both every day, except for Sundays I take off for like meal prep and stuff, and I'll go on a hike or go on a trail, just active recovery, real low key, nothing crazy, just get my body moving.
How important do you feel like it is for you to hit that like caloric goal and make sure that you're taking in calories?
Oh, very.
In regards to your training?
Athletically speaking, it's very important. Like if you're not eating enough, you're not fueled. Because that's a big problem with people. Like the American nutritional system is so messed up, and the education is so bad. But like people like oh, I want to lose weight, or I want to gain weight, or whatever, and they don't. Yeah, well, there's that. But like people like talk about calories, and most people don't even know what a calorie is. And calorie is literally just a unit of energy measurement. It's literally like if you were like, oh, a kilowatt or something in electricity. Calorie is a measurement of energy. So when we talk about calories, we're really just talking about how much energy are you intaking. Like, so if you think about food from a fuel aspect, if you're not eating enough, you're not fueled. And if you're doing this very hard anaerobic stuff, jiu-jitsu, and then if you're throwing in lifting too, but I mean, even just jiu-jitsu on alone. I know a lot of guys who are not eating enough at all. So it's important, like, try to eat a little better if nothing else. And then like, if you don't want to count like how much protein you're eating and stuff like that, if you don't want to do that, at least just monitor like, how do I feel? Am I recovering enough? Okay, is my sleep okay? Am I training too much? Or like, oh no, I feel like that's all fine, blah, blah, blah. What's your diet like? Well, I only had a iced coffee and a burrito from Taco Bell, and that's all I ate all day. I forgot to eat or whatever. Well, yeah, no wonder you aren't recovering, or you don't have any energy, because you're not fueling yourself well, So I think it's very important. I think if we're talking about optimization for like your performance, like that's just as important as how often you're training. It's just as important how much you sleep, because if you're not intaking enough caloric energy for what your body is outputting, you're not going to have the recovery or the energy to actually perform well. And then the recovery aspect of things too, eating enough protein and micronutrients and stuff, so that when you're breaking everything down, your body can recover it. And if you're not eating well, it's going to take longer. And then you're wondering like, why am I sore for 3 days? Well, do you eat and sleep okay? Probably not. A lot of us don't. I think it's very important. Very, very important. It's vital for me.
What are some tips to help some of these younger guys that are trying to be serious, in a sport that's kind of, lacking in some of the guidance that traditional high-level sports have?
Yeah.
A psychiatrist and a nutritionist and a dietitian and all these people on the team.
Yeah.
Whereas in grappling, we kind of have to take that into our own
Sure.
hands. So what are some things for some of these younger guys that maybe don't have access
Sure.
to certain things and things like that?
Well, the great thing is we're in 2024 and we have limitless information at our fingertips. And when I was first coming up in jiu-jitsu and in lifting, there was just such a lack of available good information. And now it's all there. So if you are somebody like Jeff, I know takes jiu-jitsu pretty seriously. He really wants to chase, like he's got big goals for himself and stuff. You know, or if you're somebody like that, that's like, I want to get the most out of this that I can, whether it's because I have a goal because I want to win pans, or even if it's just I want to be as good as this as I can. I just want to be as good as I can. You have to take all the other variables seriously. So that means your sleep and your training efficiency and recovery and your diet. So if you are brand new to anything, the simple stuff is write down what you eat. Write down what you ate. Like, I'm not even talking about you counting anything yet. Write down, you know, it doesn't have to, you can log it on a note on your phone or whatever, or download an app. Track everything you ate for the week and be honest with yourself and sit down and be like, okay, oh wow, I really ate that little that day. Or, yeah, like I only ate 9, you know. I know guys that like I've talked to about this and they're like, yeah, I eat tons, bro, I can't gain weight. And then I'm like, log what you ate for the week. And they're barely eating like 1,600 calories. And this is like a 200-pound guy or whatever, you know? So if you don't want to go digging yet into like, hey, you can go look up this person, tons of free info, look up this website, and it's all free. If you don't even want to do that yet, log what you're eating every day for a week, sit down, look at it, and really look at it and be like honest about, oh, okay, that's that. I don't know a lot, but I feel like that's really low. Or like, I only ate carbohydrates that day for the most part, you know, stuff like that. And try to, you know, analyze that. And then, okay, this coming week, maybe I'll try to like plan a little bit. Even if it's like, maybe my dinners, I'm gonna make sure are a planned, good, nutritious meal. And then like build. You know, people try to go 0 to 100 with lifting, nutrition, jiu-jitsu. Like, and because we're all very like, immediate gratification in what the world is, and it's kind of some of the stuff I talked about when we were doing the cradle stuff. I'm fine staying there for a second because it's not fun for you. I don't have to rush. With this stuff, you don't have to go 0 to 100. Do one piece. Do one day of lifting. That's what I was saying earlier. Like, start small. Same thing with nutrition. Start small. Just log your food and I would say your water too. Like, pay attention to how much you have for the week. Just log it. And then at the end of the week, you look at it and you analyze. And then you could just start with like, all right, this week I'm going to plan out my dinner. And I'm going to lift one day or whatever if you are already lifting. But if you want to do the nutrition, start small and then build. Then you do that week, you log that and pay attention to it. Okay, and I know I got this. I could do better this day. Just do little by little. And then if you want to start digging into getting information, lots of free resources out there. You can message me anytime if you have a question. Discord, whatever. Yeah, feel free to ask questions. There's a lot of good information out there, but if nothing else, start small. Just look at, you know, get some data. Data's important. Get some data for the week. Okay, I ate like crap this week. Next week, I need to do better. I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to do these things next week. And then that week, you do the same thing. And you just build small, little by little by little. And then eventually, like, the more you get into it, it's easier. Some of the stuff's easier anyways. And then you get a better eye for things. And you all while you're doing this, you're paying attention to your body. Like, the simple stuff is just paying attention. Am I recovering? Do I feel like I have energy? You know, why do I feel like crap? You know, start small, little by little. And then tons of free info on the internet. But if nothing else, just keep it simple and add little by little.
I'd like to get your take on it. Specifically, endurance strength.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, being able to hold and squeeze something
Yeah.
for extended periods of time.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that one of the auxiliaries you would recommend? Like maybe
For jiu-jitsu specifically, that kind of work I think can be very beneficial. Jiu-Jitsu is a very unique sport where you do have a lot of periods of time where you do need to squeeze, and the longer you can squeeze, the better. And some of that will come with just lifting in general anyways, but the length of time you can do it is going to vary. You can... there's different. They use this in just lifting, unrelated to jiu-jitsu, where they do like these static positions where you might they'll take like a bar, and they'll set these safeties, and the bar will be under it, and they'll start in a deadlift, and they'll go to deadlift, but they can't actually move. But it's that type of movement. So for jiu-jitsu, doing things like you can. Take like a medicine ball, get to a gable grip, and work on your squeeze and your pressure. You can, if you can find one proper size, work on squeezing and like time it. And you can start small. And it's like, maybe I'm doing, I'll do this 5 times for 20 seconds. And then maybe next week it's 30 seconds, and just build. Everything starts small. And this is just split and hair stuff. I think it can be beneficial if... It's not my number one priority. Right. It's all because of time management. If I have the time and you're want to get specific for jiu-jitsu, I think it can be beneficial for sure. Absolutely. And things like hangs and stuff, because grip, you'll get some more grip out of jiu-jitsu out of lifting because of squeezing the bars. Your forearms will get blown up, but the actual finger strength stuff, you'll get more of it from just playing in the gi. I think it's more important there, but it certainly doesn't hurt if you want to try to we have these things at my academy. They're basically like the ends of gi sleeves that you can hook onto a bar, and I'll get into a rolled grip, and you can hang. And again, starting small, maybe you can only do 5 seconds or a second, and just do I can only do it for 2 seconds. All right, do it for 2 seconds, 5 separate times. Next week, try to do another second, or, just build. Start small. I think it can be good if you've got the time. I prioritize other stuff over that, but once you've got more time and you want to get more specific, yeah, it's great.
As far as diet goes,
Yeah.
what foods would you recommend as far as proteins and stuff?
Pick a diet you'll actually do. That consistency is important. So there are people who will try to jump on keto or paleo or whatever. There's the foods that are obviously better than others in general because their micronutrient profile and stuff. But the first thing I would just say is just eat the foods that you'll actually eat. Then you get nitpicky with it of okay, I want to eat some more protein. What proteins will I actually eat? So if you're a vegetarian or something, you got to get it's a little more work. But if yeah, right. But if you're, exactly. But if you're an omnivore, what will you eat? That's the biggest thing, and then you can, and then you just build from there. Again, we're starting small. We're starting at the basic principle of what will I actually eat consistently? Because I know some really picky people, and I know people that are very ADHD that it bleeds into their dietary practices as well, and they're either forgetting to eat or I can't eat the same thing 3 days in a row or whatever. So the first thing is, what nutritious foods will you actually eat? As far as so
Is there a simple way to get there?
sure. I think the simplest way I would define something as more nutritious or not is how much micronutrient profile does it have. So things like vegetables and fruit have a bunch of different micronutrients, antioxidants as well, but so do meats and other things. But so I get really nerdy about it, and I track everything, and I'm I need to hit this much potassium for the day. So you don't have to get that crazy. But just at a very basal level, it's if I look at a steak, it's got X amount of protein and fats, but it's also got a bunch of iron and a bunch of potassium and these other micronutrients. If something has a lot of micronutrients, I consider that a good nutritious food. If it's something that doesn't, like cereal or something like that, it's lower on my list. The food pyramid in the United States is upside down. So even things like rice, which is a great fuel source, it doesn't have a lot of micronutrients. So like that's something that like, while like it can be a tool, I personally don't consider it nutritious because it doesn't really have a lot other than just fuel itself. When I'm talking nutrition, I'm talking about like the whole, what's everything it's given me. So the more you can, if you want to keep it simple, is, lean proteins and vegetables and fruits. Once you build a good base with that kind of stuff, and like natural fats, so like avocado or nuts or butter, like natural fats, or fats like just, I get a lot of my fats just from like the meat I eat and stuff. So if you want to go real basic, lean proteins, natural fats for the, like that came from an actual thing instead of like this is canola oil that was made. And I'm not even getting into like, that's not even me trying to get into like, there's pesticides, all this stuff. Just like looking at a basal level and trying to keep it as simple as possible. It's like that was produced maybe not as good as if maybe I used some butter or tallow or whatever, You don't have to get real nerdy with it, but lean proteins, fruits and vegetables, and then if you need more calories, that's when you throw in stuff for literally just fuel. You get your nutritious foods with your micronutrients and your proteins and fats, and then it's like, well, I still have so many calories that I need to eat. That's when you pull in things like rice and stuff like that, because it's just literally just fuel. I eat a lot of sweet potatoes, but you can only eat so much of that because there's gonna be so much fiber. So, like I'll get some of that in, but then there's a certain point where like there's a lot of my calories where I just need literal energy. So then I'm eating rice, more fruits, stuff like that, and just like adding more energy to the block of what I built. But keep it simple, stupid. Like lean proteins, like things with a face, things that grew out of the ground, or whatever, and just try to avoid the stuff that we all know is bad. Like we can all be honest and be like, maybe this canola oil is not good for me, or like this cheeseburger. Don't get me wrong, I love a cheeseburger, but if we're talking about like your general day to day, like if we view food for what it really is, where it's literally just fuel and micronutrients that help repair and encourage recovery like if we're just talking about athletically, the better you eat, the better you feel, the better you perform. If I'm not getting enough potassium in, I am so sore, I'm not recovering. If my sodium is not high enough, dehydrated, if you're not eating carbs with your water and your sodium, you don't take in as much water. Like that's all, like you're getting in the nitty gritty, but like it absolutely affects the way you perform, the way you recover. So, if nothing else, just take away like starting small, building. Don't try to go 0 to 100 with lifting or nutrition, and just build a habit that you can repeat every day for a week. Add another small habit. So even if it's, all right, this week I logged my stuff. This week I'm going to have a meal. I'm going to eat some chicken and stuff. Some chicken and vegetables, because I know that's good, right? You know what I mean? Like keeping it simple, and then the next week you add another piece.
Kind of building off of that, what like supplements are you taking? Like,
Oh, okay, yeah.
Trend, a lot of trend.
No. People assume, and I appreciate it, but it's not. I'm honestly terrified of a lot of that stuff. I know a lot about it because from the powerlifting stuff, I have a lot of friends who are on lots of stuff. I don't have a problem with it personally.
Cheaper than protein.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. I'm actually kind of a minimalist when it comes to supplements, because I'm a real nerd about like, I get real into the studies that come out and stuff. I know you're into that kind of stuff in general. The supplements that I think absolutely everybody should take. Now dosages are going to vary. Creatine, just take five a day. I think it's 5 grams every day. Whether you are lifting or not, whether you are doing sports or not, we had studies come out that it's like cognitively benefiting people, and like, which is really cool, but it's the most studied supplement out there, period. It's 100% safe, and it makes you cognitively better, but what it actually does when it comes to sports side of things, to keep it simple, you are pulling water into your glycogen better. ATP gets created. You can get real nerdy with it, but like creatine, 5 grams a day, vitamin D3. Most people in the country are deficient in vitamin D. I like vitamin D3 with K2 together. And then magnesium. There's different forms, and you just kind of got to find which one you process the best, because like there's some kinds that for your body it might like might have like weird bowels for a week or something. So like you might have to play. Like I'm not saying anything crazy, but like yeah, those are the only sub I take. I take vitamin D3, creatine with and it's with K2 already, and magnesium at night.
Do you use like protein powder?
I personally don't, because now depending on your lifestyle, like if it's beneficial for you, that's fine. I just personally, I have enough time to where I can just eat actual food to get, because protein literally is just food. It's just in a powder form. It's just condensed. Like if you need to slip in more protein and like you're having a hard time either one because you don't feel like you can eat more, or you're a real busy person, protein powder's fine. I don't have a problem with it at all. It's just I don't need to.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm very minimal with supplements. I'm kind of a when it comes to supplements and medication and stuff in general, I'm like, what is the lowest amount of things that I can take in that will give me benefit? Lowest dosage to get benefit. So there are other ones that I think are fine, but those are the ones that I take that I'm like big on, like take this because like there's not going to be any downsides to it. I know guys who use like some joint support stuff, but I don't personally think there's enough evidence that shows that it really benefits you. But if you take it and you feel like you're better, then sure, fine. Just do your research. But yeah, the ones that I think everybody would benefit: creatine, vitamin D3, magnesium. I usually take that at night because it helps kind of like you relax a little bit too. So it's nice for nighttime. And then if you can throw K2 in, go for it. It's a little beneficial. But the big ones are creatine, vitamin D3, and magnesium.
I gotta get that plug in.
Yeah. That's the only way that I deadlifted 1,000 pounds was because of Rock Valley. Yeah. Yeah.
This message is brought to you by
Right. Biggest advice,
Good callback.
the biggest advice I can give you with lifting, nutrition is start small, and just build. Like you can always add more. You can always add another lifting day or more exercise on the day. You can always do a little better on your nutrition. You don't have to go 0 to 100. Prioritize and with lifting, prioritize full range of motion and compound movements, things that are using multiple muscle groups. Because when you squat, it's not just your legs. Like your back is heavily involved. All of your posterior chain. When you deadlift, it's not just your back. You fire your quads. Your posterior chain's lit up. Your shoulders get engaged as well. When you bench bench correctly, it's not just your arms. You actually like a proper bench. When you drive, you are driving. Like your back is engaged really strong, and then you're driving with your legs. So it's actually multiple things that you're pushing with. And for jiu-jitsu, people are like, oh, you can't just being strong on the bench. Like if I'm here and somebody's on me and I explode because I can bench 400 pounds, I'm gonna get a space if nothing else. So there's spots that being strong are helpful. But yeah, prioritize full range of motion, compound stuff that hits multiple things. Start small, couple exercises, 2 days a week. You can always add more. Nutrition, track what you ate for the week and try to do a little better the next week. And you can get nerdier with it, but don't overload yourself.
Oh yeah. Give it up guys. Thank you.
Sweet.